I know we're kind of going over the Labour Party's failure a lot, but I love it. And also, there's just loads of content because they keep effing up. So we mentioned their response to it, which was to change nothing. But they really have learnt nothing. And so we've seen some of the best responses. So first thing here is just Keir Starmer polling. How's he doing? Oh, how's he doing with the public? 65% say badly. Net rating minus 48%. You got there. Yeah. How's the time in the office, buddy? Not going well. So the response I've also seen is Sadiq Khan, after his inevitable victory, is he decided to release this statement and say that a crude culture war is pushing us further apart. So criticizing the idea of culture wars being a problem. It's like Sadiq Khan saying that culture wars are pushing us apart.
That's a bit rich coming from him, isn't it?
I mean, like the ones you've been pushing. I mean, just go to the next. Look at that image. Look at that image. You remember this? There's a London fireworks, and he got a bunch of drones to make the BLM sign, and then there was a voiceover. What was it? This year, blah 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 blah. Black Lives Matter, and everyone clapped because it's London. It's like, look, you are the one who pushes culture wars endlessly, and now the right turn around and be like, hey, their culture war stuff is all retarded. You're like, oh no, don't point that out. I don't want to fight culture wars. Like,
this actually ruined my New Year's Eve. I just saw this and it depressed me to the point where I was just like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah, they're happy to do culture warring every single day until they start losing. And then it's, no, we shouldn't fight culture wars. Those pull us apart. It's like, that's literally all you do. That's 24/7 your campaign. I mean, you literally spend public money on this. I mean, that is what you do. Sorry, I can't even... Obvious hypocrisy of this man. I mean, there's a million quotes you could get. I just think this is the best example. Because he's just hijacking a public event. Let's get public money spent on it to push his agenda on cultural issues. Anyway.
It'd be unanimously unpopular as well. People just want to have a good time on New Year's Eve. They didn't want people's politics just forced down their throat.
Ugh. Anyway, sorry, let's go for the next one. So the next one is just a good guy, Matt Godwinson, who works at University of Kent, and he's just pointing out here that the centre-left vote throughout the entire continent is kind of effed. So UK, lowest since 1935. Austria, lowest since 1911. Germany, lowest since 1932. And also in Germany, the Greens have overtaken the centre-left there, so they've now got the watermelons, green on the outside, red on the inside there. France, lowest ever. Italy, lowest ever. Netherlands, lowest ever. Sweden, lowest ever. It goes on and on and on, but it's just the fact that like they're all getting BTFO'd, so... Good times.
Good to hear.
But also, I wanted to mention, because I completely forgot about this. I didn't realise until I saw Dankula's tweet. Count Dankula, remember he ran with the Scottish Libertarians in Scotland. So if you can get the I want to talk about the state of the left first. So just in the United States, I know they've won, but I mean, look at this image. So this is Cory Bush. Today's decision to defund the police marks a new future for our city, and then just lots of people being shot in her own district. Yeah.
I mean, is it surprising?
Yeah.
I mean, defund the police, get more murders.
I mean, this is why the left deserve to get no votes, because this is what they'll do to your neighborhood.
They don't even understand cause and effect.
But let's go to Count Dankula, because I love, good boy. He ran. Of course, he wasn't expecting to win, but I love this. BTFO, Communist Party of Great Britain there. 194 votes in that council. Mark Meacham, Count Dankula, 254. 254 votes for the Nazi pug man. But also the Communist Party being blocked. They blocked Count Dankula in response to losing. Losers.
Sore losers, those communists.
So sore losers, they're just like, no, they don't want to talk. But in the Labour Party, let's go back to them. So Lisa Nandy, one of the candidates for leader, decided to release a statement about the meetings they had afterwards. So she was in the shadow cabinet, and the meeting was pretty jovial. Afterwards, we all went for coffee. Things are going well in the Labour Party.
Yeah, right.
Things are good in the Labour Party, she says.
Is that why?
Good.
There was a huge cabinet reshuffle.
Oh, there wasn't. They just moved people around, but nothing really happened. Like, the party's still the party.
It's like the orcas at SeaWorld. They're just moving them around.
Essentially, but all is good. All is good. Outside the Labour Party, where people actually vote, not so good. But I guess you don't care about them or that. But Angela Rayner did something actually interesting. It seems like she's the only person that's learned anything from this. So I wouldn't say the whole party's learned nothing. It seems she's learned at least a little crumb of something. So Angela Rayner says that the Labour Party has talked down to voters for too long. And if you go to her article in which she lists her reasoning, and you can read the full thing in your full time, but I just wanted to go to the bit where she says the party's been talking down to people. For too long, we have given off the air of talking down to people and telling people that what they need, or even what they should want, or what they should think. Yes.
Factually correct. Yes.
Fact check true. That has been the Labour Party manifesto. That has been the Labour Party's movement and everything you stand for. And that's why you are awful. everything about you is awful. It's not just, you need this, well, I don't need that. No, you need it. But also how you think. I mean, she's openly accepting that, yes, the left and the Labour Party in the UK have been the thought police of the last, 20, 30 years at least. So, and she continues, working class people don't want a handout or someone telling us what we should think. Yeah? We want the opportunities to do it ourselves. It's like, this is a Conservative Party talking point here. She's like, the working class don't need to be slaves of the state. They need opportunity and shouldn't be told how to think. They can think for themselves, thank you very much. I mean, that's stock Conservative Party rhetoric. And, Labour deputy leader here saying exactly that. So, someone who's learnt something. But at least she's learnt that, essentially, the Conservative movement and how they think is the correct way to do things. The Labour movement of turning you into a slave, not useful. But also, look who's talking. Like, she really didn't learn this the easy way. Like, it's been a long road for her. So let's go for this clip. This is a clip on Question Time, which is just labelled Angela Rayner Gets Destroyed, but let's play.
I'd like to actually ask the members of Parliament that are present on the panel what part of democracy they don't actually understand. Parliament had a ballot, did it not, in order to have the referendum? They voted 6-1 to have the ballot. You took that ballot, you took the chance, we had the referendum, you didn't get the answer that you wanted, and now you want to turn it round. I didn't vote for the last government. Can I have a ballot?
Can I answer your question? I mean, what I was saying, and my clarity is that I'm not saying, and I'm not suggesting we ignore the vote. The vote is quite clear. But as a Member of Parliament, I have a responsibility for British jobs, British workers, and for our public service.
I have a responsibility to portray democracy.
No.
All right. Sorry, your job is to represent the public, the people who elect you. Start doing your job. If you don't like it, clear off. Simple as
Simple. Absolutely great.
What a great guy.
Yeah, but it seems finally she has learned something out of that. So, I mean, it took a long time, but, Angela Rayner there, being able to know, right, that the left shouldn't tell people how to think. Oh, thank God for that, Mercy. I mean, at least you're there. I mean, the Conservative Party in power, still telling us how to think, not repealing Section 127 or the hate crime laws, so, waiting for that to happen. So she's done that, but unlike some have not learned anything, and a certain somebody who's learned nothing is Ash Sarkar, who's been having a meltdown instead. So this is great. I just found this tweet. John sent me this yesterday. London, the city of FT maca sipping bourgeois elites. I don't live in London, so I don't know what Starbucks.
What on earth is that?
Yeah, but also criminal hellhole, where everyone's got a machete and you'll get shanked as soon as you get within an Oyster card range. Truly, the land of contrasts. But yes, Ash. Yes, London is awful. And who runs London, Ash? Like, who's been inviting all the people with the machetes? Who's the type of people who live in Islington or whatever, where Jeremy Corbyn is, and all the posh people who vote Labour because they love socialism, but not for us, thank you, for the plebs. Yes, everything about the Labour Party movement is awful, and this is exactly it in a tweet. She's like, oh God, imagine this being true. Yeah, but it is. Like, it absolutely is. I mean, the amount of stabbings, the amount of people being cut to death in London is ridiculous. And who runs it? Sadiq Khan. What does Sadiq Khan do? He got rid of Stop and Search. I mean, it's a poignant thing you can point to. I don't know the percentage effectiveness, but it certainly shouldn't have been gotten rid of, and everyone knows it.
Stop and Search did work though, and there's significant evidence for it. The only reason he stopped it was because he said it was racist.
It's racism.
Yeah, but
it's not racism when black people will die.
It stopped murders, but it inconvenienced people. Therefore, we must stop it.
I'd rather kill 500 black people than be accused of racism. Sadiq Khan. And yeah, he gets re-elected.
He could have probably still got re-elected on that campaign slogan.
Yeah, probably could have. But and then also the fact that you've got the unbelievable wealthy socialist. I just can't get over how she could write such a thing and not realise how much of a moron she looks. And then there's also the next thing here. There's a whole bunch of her meltdown, but this is just the best one. But the next one here is an article she wrote in which she said that everyone who's doing identity politics, especially those who profess to hate it. Let's have a look. So if you go to the article itself, you can see her argument, and she says in the tagline there, merely referring to the working class every 10 seconds can't conjure up a shared political identity. Yeah, just like LGBTQI plus HIBG, or Yukmagamers, or BAME, or any such nonsense. Like, you can't create a collective just by saying, no, this is the political group of brown people, this is the political group of gay people, and therefore they represent all brown and gay people. It doesn't work. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. But you know this, and you're just going to ignore it because you want to argue it on class instead. But also the fact that a communist is like, yeah, just saying working class doesn't make it true. So, yeah, interesting. Anyway, but she writes in here, why did Labour lose Hartlepool? As we've just seen, it's because you had based voters like that guy there who were like, we voted for Leave, you guys won't support it, you're traitors to democracy, get lost. That's why. Simple as. If Labour MP and the scandal-prone if Labour MP and scandal-prone ex-frontbencher Khalid Massoud is to be believed, the problem is that the party is too woke for the working class. Khalid is right. That is one of the major problems, but that's not the reason you lost Hartlepool. The reason you lost Hartlepool, as I said, and as the people of Hartlepool are essentially telling you, they voted for Brexit. You guys were like, get stuffed. We hate democracy. And they were like, well, we still have the vote. Get stuffed.
It's good to see, though, that the voters are beating the Labour Party over the head with their own arrogance.
Yeah, but last thing here, so she says, the problem is framed in identitarian terms. Students and thin-skinned city-dwelling snowflakes, describing herself well, have abandoned and alienated the ordinary voter. True diagnosis. Class politics has been abandoned in favour of intersectionality. BLM, transgender rights, and esoteric coffee orders. True. Like, I'm not going to read the rest of it because I don't give a toss. Because I know you're just going to spin this as utter nonsense. So instead, if you don't believe me and you're like, come on, why are you just judging a book by the cover, isn't it? Let's just look at your party. Let's look at Labour Party conference and determine whether or not the party has been taken over by thin-skinned, city-dwelling snowflakes who don't care about class politics and instead care about intersectionality, BLM, and transgender rights. Play.
Comrades.
The BIM comrades.
Transgender comrades. Trans comrades. Comrades.
LGBT plus comrades.
Comrades.
LGBT plus community, LGBT plus young people.
LGBT plus, LGBT plus, LGBT plus, LGBT plus, LGBT plus, LGBT plus, LGBT plus people, LGBT plus, LGBT plus, LGBT plus, LGBT plus people.
LGBT plus, LGBTQ plus, LGBTQ plus, LGBT plus pay gap, trans and non-binary, trans and non-binary people.
I'm sent here by my CLP to represent our Black, Asian, minority ethnic members. For Black, Asian and minority adults, Black, Asian and minority ethnic children. An inclusive and equitable national education service requires an ambitious and overarching plan for Black, Asian and minority ethnic students, staff, including migrant children, adult learners and refugees. This is crucial in a time of rising racism.
Tom Barringer, Tottenham CLP, he, him pronoun.
One society, one species, all working together, no borders, no discrimination, everybody working. If you've seen Star Trek, then you might appreciate that metaphor.
I just wanted to get up and speak and show my solidarity with all the different women we've had speaking today.
We need to challenge the patriarchy and we need to challenge patriarchal structures. Patriarchy is about who holds the power, what they do with that power, and who makes the decisions. The feminist Bell Hooks, she says that patriarchy isn't gendered. And we all know women, Margaret Thatcher, Theresa May, but we all know women in our own circles who are not necessarily sympathetic to the issues that women face.
That Black and Asian and immigrant delegates are given priority to speak.
That it is not just our role as a party to fight against injustices that we see today, but we must also correct the injustices of the past.
Referring to the Kashmiris as committing terrorist acts, I mean, it's more like acts of resistance, in my personal opinion. I think there should be a reference back on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing good will come of Brexit. It is a far-right project.
Liverpool, Walton CLP, the safest seat in the United Kingdom, 85.7% Labour. And we are kicking the fascists out of Liverpool again and again.
Most Labour seat for the fascists.
We are not Leavers and Remainers. We are socialists.
To fight imperialism, to truly defeat it, we must do so on a class basis, on the basis of socialist internationalism and working class solidarity.
I stand before you as a trans woman, a lesbian and a Pisces. I know, right? LGBT, why can't they have a better acronym than that? LGBTQ+.
I note that yesterday evening, one of the Fringe events was held by a transphobic hate group.
Delegates are being asked to vote for members of the National Constitutional Committee, and there is no gender quota in that ballot. That is outrageous.
We must end capitalism, and we can only do that with a Labour government led by Jeremy Corbyn.
The last speaker was defamatory towards Composite 17, and I know in law defamation has a certain standing.
I'm sorry, it's not a point of order. He wasn't defamatory, he just raised a different point of view.
I haven't seen a black man speaking today. I lift my hand, I wasn't there. We exist. It's the only thing I want to say. We do exist.
It gets better.
Delegate, thank you for your point of order. And as the first East Asian woman ever chairing conference, I understand the importance of representation.
Ours is a migrant nation.
Epidemic of sexist and sexual bullying and harassment fuelled by online porn.
Conference. The reason for this failure is down to one thing: capitalism. Capitalism is immoral. I second.
Workers of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose but your chains!
That if we don't pull together, if we don't get our together, Boris Johnson is going to win.
I know that was long, but I have no other way of making that point. I'm not going to give a million arguments about why the Labour Party is bad. I'm just going to show you them. That is their conference. That is a summation of their conference right there. The clips I took that from is like 10 minutes long of just stuff I have of them being awful. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to say anything. Just look at that, Ash, and tell me whether or not it's too woke.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 PM UK time on lotuseaters.com.